That's amazing. Going live. It can take 10 seconds.
It's probably dangerous that the guy on Verizon Hotspot is the host. But I think we're live.
And we're live. Hey, everybody. My name is Randy Carroll. I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships over here at Ruuster, and I am excited to bring to you Brad Nix. He is the founder and co-owner, Path and Post Realty, an independent brokerage in North Atlanta, and he is our resident guru when it comes to implementing technology. I'm not kidding when I say Brad is the guy that we go to for alpha tests when it comes to what does upgrades to Ruuster look like? What does implementing technology look like? When we need a guy who comes from the agent perspective that we can trust, we go to Brad because he's done such a great job when it comes to implementing technology in his business in a way that results in agents actually adopting it. So today we wanted to bring Brad and all of his trade secrets to the community to help implement technology in your business. From our perspective, it's oftentimes, it's never the reason why a team leader quits on their technology, but it's almost always the reason why agents do and force the team leader to quit, right? This is my third stop in the real estate tech world, and agent adoption has been the biggest boogeyman of them all. So we really respect what Brad's put together. His company has sold over 3,500 homes. So this is not just fly-by-night company. Brad is doing great. And with that, let's kick it off. Brad, why don't you introduce yourself and figure out and tell us a little bit about you and Path and Post.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having me. I know this is the exciting user adoption webinar, right? Everybody's hyped for that. But I appreciate the kind remarks. And yeah, we're just a boutique local real estate team that also happens to own the brokerage. So we have a lot of flexibility and independence and to choose how we serve our clients, and based out of North Atlanta. And we've been doing this a long time. Like I said, 3,500 closings since we started the team, but also 1,500 5-star reviews during that period of time, which I'm most proud of because that's not easy to earn in the real estate space. But also what I've learned is that, it's being independent. I guess the best way to say it is I get to pick and choose the software and tech that we use. So I love exploring the new tools, making sure that we have best in class available to our team. And I just thank you and the Ruuster group for, really trying to build the best IDX app experience in the marketplace. So thank you guys.
And Brad, I know we're going to talk about agent adoption, and we've kind of got a pre-planned flow. But I do want to, towards the end, if we can take 2 minutes and just kind of pick your brain, how you're getting that volume of 5-star reviews that consistently. I think that's something that everybody that's watching this wants to be able to tap into, that nobody's doing as good a job as you. So that's not quite agent adoption, but I'd love if we could just pick your brain on that towards the end.
Happy to talk about it.
So in order to drive adoption, you have a pretty lengthy framework in which you even evaluate technology. When Brad was evaluating Ruuster, we went back and forth, I think, for months. Answering questions as they came up, and you put Ruuster and all the tech you use through a pretty good gauntlet to make sure it's going to work. So why don't you share with folks that framework that you have that you use to evaluate technology and whether or not it's a good fit for your business?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get distracted by the shiny object in this industry, and everybody wants the silver bullet. I just want to click it, be done. There are a lot of really cool looking tools and apps that look visually appealing, look easy to use, click a button, things happen. The problem I've learned to focus on is, does it work with my current tool set? So that's usually the first question I start with is, can I integrate this tool with what I already have? Or if I'm choosing to replace a piece of tech, does this new tool I'm selecting slot in the same spot? Is it equal or better when I do make that change? So it's really, first step's integration. I I want to make sure like I have an ecosystem. The real estate's notoriously bad for having so much tech. There's like a piece of tech for every little step in the industry. I got one piece of tech to open a door, the lockbox. I got another piece of tech to search for homes. I got another piece of tech for a CRM. Like there's just a million little pieces. And the more integrated and the better they communicate with each other, the more success we're going to have using them. So I'll just start there.
That's a pretty easy yes or no, right? Like, does it integrate?
Yes,
I guess that's the first step.
Yes and no. So yeah, does it integrate easy? Yes or no. But how does it integrate is really where I spend a lot of my time. Is like, okay, great. They talk to each other. Is it one-way integration? Is it pushing information into my CRM? Or is it pulling information out of my CRM? CRM I'll use in this example most of this talk because it is the hub of what we do as customer-centric business. Or is it two-way sync? Yeah, does the information go back and forth? And how does it integrate? Does it integrate just once? Or is it over and over? Does it keep repeating information? Does it scale as you add more people and data into the tech? So it's not just does it integrate, it's how does it integrate? I like Ruuster because of the tagging system. Tags are very scalable in Follow Up Boss. With tags, I can create certain lists and filters. Smart lists are a huge thing in Follow Up Boss. So being able to filter my database based on tags applied from user behavior in the Ruuster app is tremendously powerful, as an example. And also, I can build reports based on tags. I can follow, what's working, what's not working. Can measure the app, the tool, the tech. Also can build it automations. So I can, take some of the human clicks out of the steps by building automations based on tags and triggers around that. And that kind of how deep is the integration is more meaningful than just check a box.
Yeah. So let me just stop right there and say those 2 points that you made, that integration, yes or no, is not good enough, but how does it integrate is a question you have to ask. That, and also using tags, which is really FUB's superpower. It is a superpower of CRMs for sure. And using those in automations, those 2 points alone, I hope everyone's like writing that down and walking away with that, because you need to understand the depth of the integration and how can I use tags in order to achieve the outcome that this product is helping me with. So I love that. Jumping into the next framework, you mentioned you like to measure adoption by output, not necessarily logins. Share with me a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, I think a lot of brokers, owners, team leaders are like, when's the last time you logged in and looking at agents to see if are they using the tech, right? So I logged in yesterday. That's great. Okay, it must be working. I don't think logging in equals success. It's like they're logging in and doing something, but is the output of that work they're doing in this tool actually working? Is it moving the relationship forward? Is it moving the negotiations forward, contract, whatever they're working on? So I'm focused intently on output. Like your system, Ruuster, like are we getting engagement? Are people viewing homes, conducting searches, adding favorites? What are the consumer activities being done after agents log in and create safe searches and custom experience for them? Like I'm focused on the output for sure. I do like how you guys have that leaderboard that you take a little screen capture of your top teams in the country. So I use that as my output good. So I've been benchmarking myself against these teams all over the country. And I think the last snapshot you guys posted, we were like number 7 in the country. And that means something to me because it means my team's using the tool, but also my consumers are liking the experience we're delivering. So that the number of client activities is the rankings I'm talking about. Yeah, it was like over 80,000, in last month's snapshot. So that means, yes, they're logging in, but they're creating experiences, safe searches in your example specifically that consumers are using to create engagement.
Yeah, the beauty of the Ruuster platform is we tried to make measuring that output as easy as possible. But let's be clear that measuring the output of whatever platform you're integrating into your business, you need to be measuring that, and you need to know ahead of time, like what the benchmark is for success. I won't go on this tangent, but there is a tangent that I have a tendency to go off on about people saying they want to beta test things, and they have no idea what beta test even means. They just said, what beta test then means I'm going to try it with like 2 people, but they don't know what trying it even means. They don't have a measure for success. They don't have a benchmark for what success looks like. They don't have a timetable in mind. So anyways, you talking about measuring the output reminds me of folks who don't know how to actually operate a beta test. So
yeah, I mean, I want everybody logging in, but I want the output of the logins to be valuable for my team.
Totally. Yeah, completely. So the depth of the integration, tags, using tags to get you, and tags really help you measure the output, right? Like that's an element of it for sure.
That's right.
And then this was kind of serendipitous that I went on my beta test miniature rant, because the next piece of the framework that you have sent me was rolling outs need deadlines and consequences. So tell me what that means in your world.
I think a lot of leaders who buy new tech for their team are focused on the training element. It's like, okay, I've got this tech. I need to schedule training right away or get a plan for training. Can I ask the tech vendor to step in and train my team? Or do I need to learn it in-house and then schedule training? And so they focus a lot on train in order to create adoption. And I've learned that it's not necessarily the training. In fact, most tech is pretty user-friendly, intuitive to use. If it's made it through these checkpoints, like if I'm considering it, it's got to already be user-friendly. So I'm not so much worried about the training piece as I think a lot of other leaders are. I'm more worried about deadlines and timelines for using the tool. So in your example, when we adopted Ruuster, we were already on a platform. I mean, we had saved searches and e-alerts going out to clients at scale for all 50,000 in our database or whatever we were at that time. Like we were doing this already. So what I needed was a deadline to transition from the old way to the new way. So by setting a timeline of like, hey, this is the new tool, and here's when we're turning off the old tool, it creates a sense of momentum and urgency of like, I don't have a choice but to learn this new tool because the old one's going away. And that's why I think deadlines are stronger than training moments, because most real estate agents, at least on my team, they can teach themselves how to use the tech these days. And if I need to schedule supplemental training or, after launch training, that's not a problem. The problem is like, we need to communicate deadlines. Like, when does this happen? We're going live this date. And what is the consequence if we miss it? So we're going live next Friday, whatever. All right. If you don't have all your new saved searches built on this new tool by next Friday, your leads will get nothing from you. That's a serious consequence, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you go silent in nurturing this follow-up buyer for not doing the work ahead of time. So I don't want to say it forces adoption, but it gives a consequence for not taking action at the agent level.
And so this is an area where we've seen a lot of teams get stuck as they hold on to their prior platform for far longer than they need to. And it definitely negatively impacts adoption, because agents have this idea that I don't need to necessarily learn this new one, because to your point, there's no consequence of me not learning. So just run through like the pitfalls that teams run. And of course, when we're telling our client, you need to cut this other platform off, they don't really take that seriously, because they're like, oh, well, yeah, because you want me to use yours. Well,
seems biased, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I have a bias. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. But as a team leader, talk to other team leaders about what problems are they going to run into if they do not have this deadline and subsequent consequence.
Well, if you think it's hard to get adoption on tech at your team level, like, try running 2 pieces of tech that do the same thing, right? Like, you're going to be pulling your hair out. It's like, oh my goodness, half of it over here, half over here, or 3/4 over here, and 1/4 over there. Like, it's really hard to support too. as a team leader. It's really hard to support two different platforms. So you need to decide, and I'm assuming you've already made the decision as a leader to purchase this new tech. If you've made the decision to buy the new tech, then my advice is schedule a time to rip the Band-Aid off, right? Because that's going to create the sense of urgency and the momentum and really the timeline for planning every detail behind the scenes. Like, all right, we need alerts built before we go live. We need to migrate data before we go live. We need to map tags and into smart lists and reporting. Like, there's a lot of work to go, but that timeline triggers everything. So I would just say, don't ever try to support two systems that do the same thing. And if you're buying the new system, then schedule the sunset of the old one.
Yeah, Brad, I've got a question for you, because a lot of what we've been talking about has really been on the organization changing systems. And obviously we need agent buy-in there. We need internal champions. The team leader needs to be driving it. And we're going to get to a little bit more of that in just a moment. But hopefully, the folks watching this, the team leaders out there, the independent brokers out there, hopefully they're not changing CRMs too often, not blowing up their website too often, not changing their transaction management platform. So where agent adoption probably comes in more commonly for a lot of the folks watching this, I'm guessing, is as agents are coming and going into the organization, leaving the organization. What's your mindset on? I'll just get real specific. Let's say you're bringing somebody into Path and Post. They sell 20 deals a year on autopilot. They're a culture fit, but Brad, I'm just going to use Matrix. I don't need all of this stuff that you guys have. How would you approach that agent that you'd like in the organization? They're going to bring in revenue, but they're kind of stuck in their ways. How do you handle that?
Yeah, owning the team and the brokerage gives me a lot of like, well, this is how we do it here thing. Like, it's not really optional. Like, I appreciate that you like Matrix, but we don't use it here. So if you want to be a part of this team, we're pretty clear up front. I think it's an expectation management thing, even in the interviewing and the courting process of like, we do things differently here for a reason. And here are the benefits of those reasons. And so knowing your value proposition as a team leader and how it relates to the tech itself, like, we built this tech stack to deliver this exact type of experience to your current prospects and future clients for a reason. And we explain that reason. We want it personalized, we want it customized, we want it branded. We don't want the generic stuff. We want to feel like we control how we scale this tool instead of the MLS controlling it or wherever you're getting, the other type of tool. So a lot of times it's an education process at the agent level, like telling them why more so than what. So what we use, it doesn't matter if it's Ruuster or whatever tool, like, this is why we do it though. Like, we built our tech stack intentionally to deliver these type of experiences to our clients so they can get a 5-star review, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys are following through, and you're not afraid of, hey, well, they're 1099. I can't enforce these standards. You're not operating out of fear.
I'm not operating out of fear. It's you don't have to be on this team. Like, you are independent. You can choose to leave anytime you want, but these are the tools that the team uses for this reason. And we're delivering a branded experience at a brokerage, at a team level, and it's personalized and customized at the agent level. So that's how the two brands work together. One independent contractor, one kind of top-down tech stack. We both can be harmonious if you explain it and describe it, and everybody understands why we do what we do.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then there's training, right? Then there's training.
It's amazing how getting agents to adopt technology can begin as early on as the onboarding process, like you just explained. Like, so many of these conversations are intertwined that that most folks don't think about. When I'm interviewing this new piece of technology, how also do they fit into my onboarding process?
That's right.
Presumably most people that watch this are actually growing their business, adding agents, so on and so forth. So how these topics intertwine is actually really, really important to understand. Now, tell us a little bit about, this is a piece that made me laugh because how often this happens, but the leader actually has to use the technology, not just buy it.
Yeah.
So often we're working on the Ruuster side, we're working in the sales process and in the implementation process with someone who is not the ultimate boss. And they get in and they're never involved, and they wonder why adoption isn't great. They don't even know what the platform does.
Mm-hmm.
Like tell us more about that from your perspective.
Oh, I've seen that. I've been to conferences in this industry. I see, the booth looks good, the line's long, somebody's buying stuff all the time at these things. Then they go home, I have no idea how to use this thing. I don't know what I just bought, but it looked cool. And everybody else was in line, so I had to have it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. That happens in this industry and has for decades. I'm aware of the problem. I think the leader has to use it because they're the ones who are going to design the system of accountability. They're the ones who are going to set these deadlines that we've talked about. Like they're going to map to the smart lists, someone behind the scenes. And it doesn't have to be like the owner of the company. When I say the leader needs to use it, it may be whoever that back-end operations expert is that's going to wire everything up from tags from this system, into this report. Like that type of leader, the operational leader is probably the way I would describe it, needs to use the tech. And probably, needs to be the expert on it more so than even relying on outsourced support. Like there'll always be, I got to go to support for an answer, but they need to know it inside and out with confidence so that they can build the system they want to hold agents accountable to or get the results from.
I can say on our side, the clients that we've had that have the most success are the folks who that operational leader knows the system in and out. Mm-hmm. And can actually help agents themselves before having to rely on us. And of course, we want to provide support, and I think we do a fairly good job and all that good stuff. But having something internally is a game changer for the agents.
Well, and there's
go ahead.
I was just going to say there's levels to everything, right? So no matter if you are a team of 3 and you're still small, you don't have to have all of the same internal support systems, support docs. Like some of the people that we work with have their own little like school.com portals where folks are getting trained on their internal systems. You don't have to have all of that. It's really just more of a theme that you at least have a plan of, if one of our agents has a question, do I know where they should go? And for sure, do they know where they should go? And getting all of that lined up.
Yeah, I think that's why they use it. You don't have to necessarily build custom training for it or do all of that, but you'd at least have to use the tool, because if that agent does ask a question internally, it's not that you have to have the answer. It's you have to understand what they just asked. Like that's the biggest problem. It's like, I think some leaders buy tech and like their agent says, well, how do I do X? And it's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What is X?
That's amazing.
I think that's the problem. Like, make sure you understand the question your agents, even if like, oh, I don't know that answer, I'm gonna have to go to support to get that.
That's awesome.
But true.
Yeah, very true. I mean, there's no question about it. A lot of funny stories. Now, the last piece, and I don't know if your framework goes beyond this, but tell us a little bit about piloting, beta testing, whatever, alpha testing maybe, how you identify the tech forward agents, because there's a lot of agents who put their hands up and actually say, I want to be a part of the test. And then they are actually not helpful at all. Right. We've done that. We've gone through that a lot, to be honest, but
well, hopefully as a leader, as a team leader, you know who your tech savvy agents are. You know the ones who aren't just tech savvy, because there's a lot of tech savvy agents. It's the ones who enjoy testing, who enjoy the feedback loop, who aren't just going to complain about something not working the way they expected it, but give some constructive feedbacks. Like, I wish this did this one thing instead of this, or, that you got to find those kind of agents to really early test with you as you're learning, as the team leader or the operational leader that we're talking about is learning the tool. Getting in there with a couple of key agents, 1 or 2, 3, however big your team is, will really help that process, because that's where you learn the questions that they're going to ask. So when they ask the question, you understand what they're asking because you're watching them use the tool. So these all things go together, right? So That's why I think the leader needs to understand the question, and finding those little internal testers on your team are so valuable, because you'll get to iterate and scale your training and support quicker than anything else. It's cheaper to go small there. Plus, you're also, it's going to be faster, and you're creating kind of an internal champion when you do go live and roll it out to everyone else. They're like, yeah, I've been using this, and Brad and I beat it to death, and now I'm a fan of it. And otherwise, we wouldn't have gone out past those few, right? So
Sure.
They're excited, and then they become ambassadors and almost co-supporters of the rollout initiative.
It builds confidence in the company when you've had a few agents become internal champions and you actually roll out systems that when you have a track record of successfully rolling out tech that's made the agent's life better. Right? If you are constantly changing tech and have a lot of failed rollouts and are introducing crappy pieces of tech, then the whole company is probably going to lose confidence.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And we found too, like sometimes your best tech users are not your best early adopters. I mean that because like sometimes they're just too busy. Like, yeah, hey, I don't want to pull you away from the 8 deals you got and so many active buyers and listings. Like, you don't want to distract them, but you need someone who has a little bit of space in their work life and tech savvy to help you test together, because it's time consuming to do it right. And I found like sometimes I'll tap a couple agents I know, they're like, nah, I can't take it down. I was like, that's fine, it's fair. So having a pool of reliable testers, feedback loop people would be super valuable.
How are you involving, once you found 2 or 3 people that hey, these are my champions for this service that we're adding? How are you kind of feathering in their feedback? Are they helping, run some of the internal training? Are they leading, certain pieces of that? Or are you just calling upon them? Hey, Randy, what'd you think about HubSpot? How are you doing that?
Yeah, the Socratic method in a group setting is probably the best I found, mostly because the agents don't want to be in front of the room. They don't want to become the trainer. Like, I want to give you the feedback loop. I'm going to tell you how I use it. I want it to make my life better, but I don't necessarily want to be the trainer of the tech. They don't want to then be the supporter of it. So what we do is we use them as almost plants in the audience. So when we are doing the group training situation, we know that we can reliably call on these, 2 or 3 agents to stand up and answer a question because they've already used it and they feel confident with it. And sometimes I'll even seed them the questions that I'm going to ask. Like, I want you to answer these 2 questions in this group training tomorrow. You got that, Kevin? He's like, sure, no problem. Like, that helps a lot.
Now, being open to feedback, you receive a lot of feedback, and a lot of people love to share their opinions, and everyone's opinion, depending on the topic, is a little more or less valuable. How do you filter through feedback and identify this is helpful and this is less helpful?
I mean, that's a loaded question. How do I deal with feedback? Like a teenager is the honest answer. like I've got a teenage son. I deal with it about like he does. It's like, yeah, you're wrong, I'm right. I don't know what you're talking about, Dad. Like, that's kind of my honest default. Like, yeah, I think I've already figured it out, but then I'm probably like a teenager and then think on it and realize, all right, that was my reaction, but probably right. That's a good question. I need to find the answer. Let me dig into it. Let me go ask someone else. Like, that's honestly the transparent truth. I wish I had a better answer than that. But I feel like I've done a lot of research and vetting. I'll just say it this way. I have strong opinions about everything we do, whether it's tech or anything on this team. I have a strong opinion about it. I just try to hold it very loosely. So like, okay, I have a strong opinion about the question you asked. I have an answer, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's hear your point of view. And so, just having that, it's really built on core values and the trust of each other. Is like, look, we're always going to respect each other. We're always going to be united. We're going to live by the golden rule. Like, these things really come through in culture. So if you have the right culture in place, then you can have that feedback loop. It's a little more honest and transparent, even if I don't like it sometimes.
I think we may have lost Randy, which is funny because he's on Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on, but I just kind of want to recap some of what we've been talking about the last half hour, and hopefully, make things really simple for folks who have made it this far into the webinar. What I was hearing, Brad, was that, before you even get started, you've got to look at the integration, and you've got to figure out, is this simple enough for it to even be considered, for me to even try to get agent adoption? Once you've kind of failed that, you've got to figure out, how am I going to measure this? You've got to figure out what we're going to track to know, are agents adopting it or not? Deadlines are really helpful. So that way there's incentive or consequence for an agent to adopt it or not.
Yep.
There are agreed upon standards when you're onboarding an agent that will drive adoption, or will show you, hey, this person's just not the right fit. The leader really has to crack the whip. They've got to be involved. And lastly, finding internal champions is a really big lever to pull on when it comes to getting agent adoption buy-in across the organization. Is there anything else? Any other thoughts you have before we wrap up?
I mean, I think that's generally my approach, all things tech and rollout and launch. The ongoing training and support. Like, really, if you're partnering with the best tech tools in the industry, you're always going to have that, because features are getting released, new functionalities being added to the platform. So you're always learning and evolving. So a lot of those things just get repeated. Make sure you use the new feature. Make sure you have a champion to test the new feature. And, you're just kind of rinsing and repeating that kind of cycle, even after purchase and initial adoption rollout.
Well, I do want to press again on this. I know I mentioned it right at the top, but y'all are batting like almost 500 on, sale turning into 5-star review, which is bananas.
Yeah.
Can you take like 90 seconds to
Sure.
explain, how are y'all, like, I'm hoping most folks can provide a world-class experience, but what that conversion rate of you actually getting somebody to take time out of their day to leave the review, and all of the downstream effects that those reviews have upon attracting more business. Can you just speak to that for a couple minutes?
Yeah, sure. I mean, how do we do it? Look, it is the number one most important metric in our whole company. We don't track closings, we track 5-star reviews. And we celebrate them, and we read them out loud every week. We go into the case study of what happened with their life. I want to hear it. But for them to love it so much, to go and rave about the experience of buying and selling a home, which is exhausting and stressful and expensive, like, to take that experience and go and rave about it online is way different than, a new piece of AirPods or something, right? Like, the review seems similar, but the actual action of going and doing that is a meaningful difference. So we treat them with a huge meaning internally. We're not just, oh, cool, congrats, you got it. Like, no, we stop the whole meeting every week. We start with, let's read the 2 reviews we got last week out loud in front of everybody, and then ask the agent how they earned this 5-star review, because that's an incredible moment in the industry that we want everything to end that way. So we want to hear the case study. How did it happen? And through that process, we get insights like, oh, that was a cool thing you did, or yeah, that's a common problem these people have, so I'm going to solve it the same way. And we get real collaboration and shared insights to make everyone else's experience better, because we constantly share and celebrate it. And that's all I found to do. Care about it. Make it about everything we do.
What you measure, right, grows. Isn't that the phrase or something?
Yeah, and that's what we measure. We have not one team meeting have I ever ran that had a number of closings last month or this week. It's number of 5-star reviews. Because it's great you got closing, and let's be honest, no buyer or seller is going to buy or sell a home in real estate that they don't want to. They may be sad about leaving their home. They may wish they got a better deal. But if it's so bad, they're just not going to sign the paperwork. They're not going to write the check. They're not going to show up at closing for something they don't want to do. So like you didn't really accomplish anything. Like you don't convince them to do it, right? Getting the closing is not the win. You just help them get what they wanted. And you've already got your reward, in my opinion, as an agent, because that's when you pick up your check, is at closing. So I don't need to reward closings. You already got paid to do your job, to get the client what they wanted. What I'm measuring is, did you make it enjoyable so much that they'll go rave about it online? Now that's another level. That's a higher standard.
Creating raving fans.
Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome.
I dig
Spencer kind of did a recap while I was battling the Wi-Fi, so no need to do that again. Sorry, the challenges of living at the beach is you get beach quality Wi-Fi. Sorry. Any other parting thoughts? We're so grateful that you spent this time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. You can tell I'm passionate about how we do things here. So I appreciate sharing it with everyone. If you have any other questions, like, reach out anytime.
Yeah, how can people get in touch with you?
Pathpost.com, you can look up me and all of our agents at any time on our website. I'm most active on LinkedIn or Facebook if you want to follow along for, what am I sharing and posting about. If you want to just engage casually that way, look me up on Facebook.
Brad is a great follow. Let me say that as well. He posts some really thoughtful content. You do we could probably have a whole nother conversation about the way you interpret data and make it useful, right? Like having access to data isn't that interesting, but being able to interpret the data, like that's how you bring value to the community. And you are one of the best at it. So everyone should definitely go follow Brad's. I follow you on Facebook, and I'm sure it's on LinkedIn too. Whatever.
Facebook, LinkedIn's where I post most of my stuff. So thanks for that.
Cool. Absolutely. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you, sir. I'll let you get back to your day.
All right. Good to see you guys.
Thanks. See you, Brad.
Cheers.